Hello, this is Music Tech Help Guy, and welcome to episode 17 of my Pro Tools 11 video tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to talk about comping live drums with groups. So the problem with comping live drums is that, well, it's all multi-channel. I have a kick in mic, I have a kick out mic, I have a mic on the top of the snare drum, one on the bottom of the snare, a tom-tom mic, a floor tom mic, hi-hat mic, a stereo pair of overheads, and also a stereo pair of room mics. So the drums are not just a stereo track or a single track. So when we comp these, we can't just comp them one track at a time. We have to comp them as a group. We have to treat all of these tracks as one instrument rather than a group of instruments. And by the way, if you're not already familiar with comping and using playlists, go back and take a look at episodes 15 and 16 because I do a more in-depth explanation of what playlists actually are and how they can help you out. So I'm assuming going into this video you already know how to use playlists and you've already done some comping work. So let's just take a listen to a little bit of this. All right, so let's take a look at our other playlists that we have for these. Now, if I just go to the kick-in track here, you'll see that if I go to waveform and I change this to playlists, you'll see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playlists, and actually the bottom playlist is identical to the top one. So underneath each one of these tracks, I have 5 playlists I can pick from, 5 different takes I can pick from. Not all of them are the same. You can see on some of them he came in early or came in late. They sort of, we were recording, believe it or not, we were recording guitar, bass, and drums all separately in 3 different rooms when we did this. So sometimes the singer guitar player would come in a little earlier, a little later, and so the actual performance for this is actually varying a little bit. But for now, just for this video, we're going to sort of ignore the fact that there's other instruments in the mix that we have to worry about. The problem with this is if I just say, oh, I like this take, and I bump it up in there, I'm just bumping up this take of this one track and not that same take of the other tracks. So in order to keep all the drums in phase and make sure everything sounds correct, so I don't have a kick drum take from another, a kick drum clip from another take and then a snare drum clip from another take, so we're not mashing our different instruments up on different takes, because that's just going to sound bad. It's going to sound terrible because it's 2 different takes. The timing is going to be off. The way he hit the drum is going to be off. He might have even played some different things in one take that he didn't in another. So in order to actually make this work for drums, or really any multi-track instrument like this, is you have to group all of these together. So I'm just going to click on the top track, hold Shift and click on the bottom track, hit Command G to create a new group, and I'm just going to call this drums. I'm going to make sure that this is a mix and edit group, although you could just make it an edit group. All right, so now that my drum group is on, you'll notice that I can edit all of my drums at the same time when I select them, when I move them. Also, when I change my waveform view to playlist view, it changes it to playlist view for all of the instruments. So generally what I like to do is I like to look at like the overhead mic, or I like to look at the room mic just so I can see something that's, I'm looking at the whole kit. What I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete the top playlist. And notice that when I click on a playlist, like I click on the red playlist, it selects the red playlist for all of them. If I click on the blue one, it selects the blue playlist for all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete the top playlist, because it's the same as the bottom playlist. And we're going to go through and we're going to listen to these and find the best takes from each of these. Now, I'm not going to be as sort of surgical about it as I was with the vocals, where I'm taking individual phrases. I'm sort of going to get big sections and put them together for the drums. So the intro is just a sort of rim tap thing. Let's listen to this one first. And one thing I do like to do with drums is I like to turn the click track on so I can hear which one's best in time. Although my click track has to be going to my output in order to hear it. There we go. All right, next one. Yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like the kick drum in there. Yeah, I like that one. So I'm going to pull all of this up into the main playlist. You drag over it with the selector tool, hit the up button, punches it up into the playlist. Now, it also punches up the overhead track, the hi-hat track, all the tom tracks, the kick tracks, the snare tracks. So everything has been punched up, not just that one track, because we are working within a group. So everything's staying phase locked. So let's go over here to the fill. Let's see if I like this fill. Okay, let's try this one. That one seems a little off. Yeah, I kind of like the first one that we used, but I want to use a different crash. Let me just turn my grid onto quarter notes so I can better see. Actually, let's try eighth note. There we go. You can better see which take is on or off the grid better. You know, it's looking like the one we picked is the best one, so we'll keep that. Let's move on to the little beat here. Let's start with the top one. All right. Now I like how this one has this little doodloom in it. This one was kind of frumpy. Yeah, I don't want that. Nope. Sounds like he's trying to keep having a hard time keeping up the metronome. Yep. So I'm going to actually go with this one. Let's punch that up in there. Let's listen to that. So right there you can hear there's like a stick, like he hit the rim of the tom or something. Yeah, so he sort of missed his fill there. So let's see if we can find a better take. That one's kind of behind. Still behind. Let's try this one. Yeah, let's use that one. Let's punch that up in there. Let's see what it sounds like together. And just like I did with the vocals, I'm going to go back and touch up the edits later. Right now I'm just sort of getting a rough idea. From what I remember, when we tracked this one, and this one are correct in terms of the length. Because in one take he came in too short, one take he came in too far out. So let's listen to this. Let's try this one. Yeah, I don't like the kick drum in there. No. Yeah, I like that one. Let's pull that up in there. Now let's listen to these 3 fills here. Let's see which one has the sort of the best energy to it. Yeah, I like this one the most right here. Let's bump that one up. I didn't really like the way this tailed out though. Let's try this take instead. Nah, I don't like that either. That's kind of cool. Let's pull that up in there. Alright, so I could go through the whole song like this, get to the very end of the song and just sort of pick the best spots. Sometimes what I'll do with drummers is I'll just sort of keep whatever I think what the best take was. I'll punch the best take up in there, and I'll just listen for any mistakes, and all I do is I punch in the mistakes, punch it up from the playlist. So obviously there's some other issues going on here with this track where the drums are coming in late and coming in early in certain spots just because the singer was singing along with them in another room, and he sort of would leave like a phrase in or a phrase out of the song as they were playing it. So there's certain like flow issues and song order issues that need to be addressed here as well. Okay, so let's just for sake of time, I'm not going to sit here and go through the whole thing. Let me close out the playlist view. We'll go to waveform view, and you'll see that in all of our tracks now, we have all of those takes that we just chose from the playlist. Now, just like I did before with the vocals, it's generally a good idea to come in here and sort of clean up these edits. So again, I'm editing as a group, so I shouldn't have any phase issues. Shouldn't have any issues with one track being edited a different way than another. So I'm just using the trim tool and cleaning up these edit points a little bit. That one looks pretty good. By the way, sometimes it helps to turn up the waveform zoom to see the transients better. And actually, one new thing, and I don't think I've showed you guys this yet in this series, is that if you go to View, and then you go to Waveforms, View Waveforms, you can view your waveforms as a rectified waveform, which basically just means that the you don't see a bidirectional waveform, you see a unidirectional waveform, which actually really helps for drum editing because it lets you see transients a little bit better. It lets you see like the peak levels better as opposed to the RMS levels better. So let's just, and this really helps with like really quiet transients that you maybe would otherwise miss, like here where they're like real quiet. Let's get in here and edit this up a bit. There we go. And this last one. There we go. Now one of the big issues with drums is sometimes if you like crashed one cymbal on one take and then crashed another cymbal on another take and you have like an edit going through the crash, well, that can be kind of bad, but that's just something you have to work around. You have to adjust your edit point depending on the take that you use. So again, I'm just going to drag over all these, hit F to create quick fades. Again, that only works when your key focus mode is on, and what it does is when you hit F, it just puts a quick little fade in between every edit point. And then when we're all done, we're happy with these, we can consolidate them, Shift Option 3. It's going to consolidate everything, and let's give this a listen. Did you hear that? So sometimes we've got to come in here and do some fancy editing work to make sure that we don't hear things like that. Like I said before, sometimes it may force you to sort of extend or change the edit point so we don't hear those weird symbol. Like there was like one symbol that faded out too quickly on the edit. There we go. And there we go. So we've got our nice comped drum takes here. Again, we're just getting a little bit of the best of each of the takes that he did. All right, so I hope this video has helped you out. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.